Hey everyone, this is Miss Fisher, and I am creating this video to help you with the Go Formative Unit 5, Lesson 10 and 11 Traversals practice. So we, in class, started on some of these exercises, and this one in particular has to do with the Random Dog Picker app. If you click on the drop-down menu, you can see different dogs of various sizes. So here the medium will pick randomly a medium dog, a small dog, or a large dog. So the questions in the Go Formative just asks you to take a look at this program a little more closely. So I'm not going to necessarily go through every question. I think we went through a lot together, but I do want to point out that there are 5 lists. 3 of them are using the data set. If you take a look at data, you can see that the dogs data set was imported, and there are many columns here. But the columns that we're going to actually be using in this program are breed and maximum height. I'm assuming that's in inches, and then image. Okay, so if you click on any of these, if you copy and paste this image, then it will take you to an image that was uploaded onto the web. Okay, so going back to code, we've got 3 lists which are populated with the data from that particular dog's data set. We've got name, maximum height, and image, which is just a list of strings, each string being a URL to an image. And then we've got 2 empty lists, filtered dog names and filtered dog images. So when you take a look here, you can see that in the filter function, the 2 filtered lists are they're declared up here with a var. These are where they're created, but they're actually assigned to an empty list here, lines 23 and 24. And in this for loop, it is traversing the list, okay, here, the dog height list, which is one of the lists up here that has all the heights of all the dogs. And if the height, the dog height of that particular dog, and so we're going to start at index I, get 0, and then we're going to go to the very last dog in the list. So each dog in this program has a name. So the same dog has a name at index 0. Its height is in the index 0 of this list, and its image is located at index 0 of this dog images list. Okay. I'm not sure why they didn't put it heights plural like these other ones, but neither here nor there. All right, and so what this does here is, depending on the height, if it's a small dog, less than 16 inches is the maximum height, and the user chose small, then you're going to go ahead and append item of that dog name and the image. Okay, and if the user chose a medium, right, medium setting here, and the height is greater than or equal to 16 and less than 24, then it would be added to the filter dog name. So it really just, every time you click on one of these settings here, one of these options in the menu, it's going to trigger this filter function. So the size drop down is the only place, the only on event. Every time you it detects a change, it will call on the filter function. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to lesson 11. So in lesson 11, I think we did a couple of these together. So this was bubble 3, and this was actually lesson 10. Sorry, that's a typo. Lesson 10. Okay, we just kind of went over this program. Lesson 11, traversal practice, we did bubble 2 and bubble 3 in code.org. So let's go ahead and go to bubble 4. Okay. Okay, so here we are in lesson 11, bubble 4. So when you run the program currently, it has a list of fruits and its prices, and it's going to print the fruit and the cost. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to print um, the students and their grade levels right below. Okay, and we already have a list of students and a list of grades, so we're going to do something very similar to what they did here with fruit and price. So the first thing is they declared a couple of variables, and these are actually global variables because they're outside of a function or an on event or a for loop. And so let's go ahead and declare the student and the grade. Okay, we have students and grades as a list, but then we have a single student and a single grade. And we're going to print each one. Okay, so now I'm going to click and drag a for loop next, and it's going to start with index I gets 0 and index I while it's less than. You can pick either of these lists, but I'll go ahead and pick students.length. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign the variable student and grade to the student and grade at index I. Okay, so let's go back to variable and let's click and drag the assignment here. So I've got student will get students at index I, and grade will get what is in the grades list at index I. And then we want to actually print it. And so the console.log is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and print the student and concatenate that with, let's look at the instructions, is in grade. Okay, so we need white space here, is in grade, white space, and then concatenate it with the grade. Okay, and let's reset and run, and let's take a look at what we have here. Okay, so you have Angelo is in grade 11, Amelia is in grade 10, and so forth. Okay, and that is what we wanted to happen. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the code that prints those 5 students. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this here. All right. Okay, so let's go to bubble 5, and that's going to copy and paste the code that filters the list of students to those with names 6 or more letters. Filters the list of students to those with names with 6 or more letters. Okay, I'm not sure about my grammar there, so let's just take a look at bubble 5, and we're going to now filter, not just print. So in this case, this program currently takes a list of animals with more. We'll filter the list of animals to only take animals with more than 5 letters. So now we're going to do a list of students to take those with names of 6 or more letters. So 6 or more letters are going to be Clarissa, Darian, Francesco, and Giselle. All right, so let's take a look at what they have so far here. And I'm going to run. And it looks like we've got animals with more than 5 letters are these 3 animals. Now we want students with 6 or more letters in their name. Okay, so we're going to do something very similar here where we have a filtered students list currently empty, and we've got a global variable that's going to help us store the current student, and we're going to assign it the student's name at index I and check its length, and if it's greater than what do we say here? If it's greater than or equal to 6, then we're going to add it, okay, to the filtered student list. All right, let's go ahead and use a for loop. And while I is less than students.length, okay, so students.length minus 1 is a index of the last element. I'm going to go to my assignment and assign student to students at index I. Okay, and then I want to check if the length is greater than or equal to 6, right? Greater than or equal to 6. So let's go ahead and check that next. So I'm going to use an if statement. If student, which is the string, dot length, is greater than or equal to 6, or you could say it's greater than 5, I'm going to add it, append item, okay, to the list. So let's go ahead and use append item. The list name is students filtered. And I'm going to add to it the student, which is stored in the variable student. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and run the program and check it. And it doesn't look like it's working. Okay, so let's take a look. And the reason is because I put students, not student. So it has to be the single student. Let's go ahead and reset and run. And now it is working. Okay, so it is important to test your code. We have 4 names, and up here we've got the 4 names. Oh, and we actually want to print the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can do that as well. Actually, I don't think they want us to print that. Okay, I think it's just showing that index 0 we have Clarissa and so forth. Oh, there we go. And that is interesting. It will actually show you this is just part of the environment, that if you click on this, it'll tell you which ones are at which index. Okay, so I think we're done. Let's go ahead and show text. And I'm going to copy and paste the code and put it in here. All right. So in bubble 6, let's go ahead and compare and contrast the code to find the maximum price compared to the given price. What is the same? What is similar? So for this one, it's going to be pretty similar to what we talked about in a prior Go formative. When you're looking for the minimum versus the maximum, the code is really similar. It's just that conditional statement. So we're going to add code to find the maximum price. In this case, they give you the minimum price. So when we run the program, the minimum price is 0.5, okay? And the maximum price should be 2.5. So here, they're going to check each price in prices. And if it's if there's one that's less than the current min price, which is assigned to the first item, then it's going to be assigned to that price, okay, if it's smaller than the current min price, okay? And then you'll be able to find the min price of all of the items. So similar, max price is going to be very similar. We'll set it to the first item, and then we're going to do the conditional statement here, if. And if the current price, so let's go ahead and assign it to a variable. Let's call it just price. Okay, and then I'll assign it here. If, and then let's say price is the item at prices I. Okay, so if price, and we're looking for the maximum, if it's bigger than the current max price, okay, then we're going to go ahead and set our max price to the current price, which is prices I, okay? And so then when you reset and run it, we've got, oh, it's actually $3.25, okay? So, which is why you want a computer to do that, Okay, they're better with details. So the difference is that instead of asking if the current price is less than the min price, in this case, the current price is bigger than the max price. Okay, so the direction of the inequality operator, that comparison operator, is changed. That's really the only difference. Okay, and you can write that in your own words. But what's similar is they assign it to the first item at index 0, and they traverse the entire list and compare it with either the max price or the min price. All right, and then in bubble 7, last one, copy and paste the code that prints a list of states that have a population of less than 1 million. So let's do that one together. All right, so in bubble 7, we have, let me start over real quick. We have a data set which is imported. If you look in data, we have US states, so a lot of data about our 50 states. And we're looking for the state name and the admission year, okay, at the top. So we have an empty list since 1900, okay? And so if it was added after 1900, then it would add the state, and when you run it, run the program, it gives you the states that were added since 1900. So now we're going to do something similar. We're going to filter the list and only have states with fewer than 1 million people, which is not that many considering there's like over 6 million in the Houston area. And we're talking about an entire state. So we've got a small population list, and we're going to add code here. The state is the state list I, population is population list I, and we're going to compare the population with 1 million. So let's go ahead and use an if statement. If the population is less than 1 million, that's 6 zeros, we're going to add it, append item, the state to the, what do we call it? Small population list. Small population list. We're going to add the state name. State list I is assigned to state, so we'll add it state, the variable. Okay, whatever is assigned to state. Okay, so that's state list I. We're comparing population list I. We assign it to this variable population, and then we'll go ahead and reset and run. And there are 6 states that have fewer than 1 million people. Okay, and just imagine in the Senate that those 1 million people, those less than 1 million people per state, they have a lot of power in terms of electing their local officials when you think about the Senate compared to like a different state. So that's why we do have both the House of Representatives and the Senate, but it is pretty interesting to think about. All right, so we're going to go ahead and copy this code here. Okay, and paste it in here. All right, I hope that helped, and hope you are staying safe and warm. All right, bye everyone.